All right, it is another episode of Virtual Courtside with just me this time. No JT, no talks. They have all gone home. Everybody got flights out early Saturday because we ended up with a nice early night. I didn't. I have a flight Sunday morning because I just want to have a nice night to watch the Celtics and pass out. Because man, what a week! I'm exhausted. Super fun tip-off week. Great to see all the talent in the league. Congratulations to Warriors Gaming Squad for an incredible win. We'll obviously get into the thick of the matchup here in a second, but great to see. I think off the top, great to see an organization that has invested so much into this league get rewarded. They've invested so much time and analytics. Defining their style. Russ in building this team and being able to kind of keep the guys on the same page. Mama said it during the post game where he talked about how it really has a family feel to it. They all like each other. That's hard to find. So congrats to the Warriors. Good job to them. Another big win as they begin what might be one of the greatest seasons of all time. So we'll start with the Warriors. We'll go to the Raptors, and then I'll turn my attention to the turn and talk about it a little bit. I'll turn my attention to the turn. Wow, this is like the switch open, horrible puns all over again. All right, let's start with the Warriors. I thought all in all, they didn't play great offensively. I think that you can see, JT gave some great analysis when he's like, they have two good guards in the backcourt, but you slow anybody down in this league in the half court, and eventually, they're going to just start missing shots. And I think we saw that during this game that for as good as Mama and CB are, that Raptors defense in the half court really did grind them down. It made them second guess themselves. It forced them into a lot of tough shots. A lot of grenades being given to the wings as well from CB and Mama when they just couldn't find anything in a couple of those possessions. But I thought game one was a great example of how this Warriors team can beat anybody in any just kind of normal game of 2K. I think a lot of the times when you watch the Dubs, a lot of their games are like blowouts, right? Like that game against the Pistons, game one against the Bucks. And, you watch some of their games where during the turn group stage where it's like not even a competition by like the 2 minute mark of the third quarter. But I think you saw in that game one that when they really need to just win like a normal game of 2K, like just play a game of basketball and win in 4 quarters, they have that capability. Like it doesn't always need to be a blowout. It doesn't always need to be some big fancy impressive win. Like sometimes you just have to go out there and make some great plays and dominate. I thought CB was amazing at that game one. He was in complete control, looked a lot like he did during the entirety of the tip-off. Really impressed by him. Mama and Kenny defensively are one of the best shooting guard lock combos I can remember. It's crazy seeing Mama be this good defensively. Like, I know he's got a long history in pro-am of playing different positions, being great defensively, but like we have not seen this in the league. Like this is him going a completely up a level in year 7 on a specific end of the floor that was never really his strength as a lead guard. Like I think an improvement like that is really insane. Kenny had a great series, kind of low key. I thought he did a lot of things to harass and annoy Antoine Love. He was great on rotations, great on switches, took some really good shots as well. Really impressed by Kenny. He's just one of the best in the world. A reclamation week for Cease. I was hearing a lot of hate on Cease's name. He's the best power forward in the world. I think that there are a couple guys in the league that you can definitely put around him, but like, I don't know how much more this man needs to win for everybody to give him the unanimous title. Had an amazing week. The steals were great. I thought his back end defense really found some consistency this week. A lot of turnovers, a lot of forced misses. He was really, really good. And then the big breakout star of the week was really Ney, who kind of emerged as maybe the second best offensive player on this team while Mama's still trying to find his jump shot this season. Ney has been amazing. He's got that jab step down. He's great on the boards, offensive rebounds. He has a great feel and timing for kickouts off of those offensive rebounds. And, he made a disgusting decision tonight. It was so good in overtime of game 2 where he got the ball down low. He's being harassed by all the Raptors. He makes like the quickest touch pass we've seen of the week over to Cease. It was just sick. Cease hits the 3, and that basically ended the series. I thought it was gross. I thought he was really, really good. You got the trash talk going. You can see that he's definitely been spending a lot of time around Mama and Cease. He's got that crazy cockiness and crazy confidence now that those two have been defined by. So great to see Ney really break out this week. He's been leading the league in rebounds, but a lot of that's just because in these blowouts, guys just start chucking up random stuff, and he can get easy rebounds. But I think you saw today that a lot of what he can do down low. He is his own great player. Like he's not just good because of the system. He himself has put in a lot of work to be very, very good on this league build. And I know that the jab step can be a bit overpowered. I agree. I think it is a little overpowered. Obviously, we've talked about the dunk meter before on this on this podcast, but me personally, if all centers can use the jab step and dunk meter, then to me it's kind of balanced. Like, it's not like we have centers out here scoring like 40 points a game just jab stepping. It ends up just being a tool that you can rely on. It doesn't always work. It has about, I would say, like an 80 to 90% efficiency rate, but those stops that you get on the dunk meter are just so massive. I mean, they're complete momentum swinging plays, and I think for me that's kind of why I think this build is actually really balanced. We had the 5-out, but it showed that if you can stop the 5-out in the paint, you just completely take it down and you can swing the momentum on it easily. And that's the same with these dunks. We saw Seam miss a bunch, we saw Ney miss a bunch, and both of them ended up leading to momentum swings the other way. So I don't have a problem with it. It seems like all centers can do it, and there seems to be a real skill gap in terms of the guys who can do it to certain efficiency levels and do know the timing, how far away from the basket you have to be. There's a whole artwork that I'm not nearly smart enough to describe to you guys. When we have Dirk on here, we'll talk about him next week about the artwork that, or the artistry that is the jab step down low. But that's the Warriors. I thought they were really good in that game 1 and game 2. I thought they were really good in that game 1. Game 2 is where we're going to switch over to the Raptors. I came into this finals, I came out of the Eastern Conference Finals more worried about the Raptors than I was when they started the series, just because I just wasn't sure if their defense was actually good or if it was a bit of a, I don't want to call them like a front-running defense because that's a really mean thing to say, but like when they get defensive momentum, they are completely ridiculous, like defensively. I mean, they're moving around, they're having the comms, it all works out, get a lot of turnovers. But I was worried that they were just kind of a momentum-based defensive team, and I think I saw in that game too that that's wrong. They're just really, really good. Shout out to Coach Nick, man. He comes onto this team, completely rebuilds the roster, completely rebuilds their system, new offensive system, new defensive system, all around Antoine Love. And on the defensive end, he brings in Crush, and you can tell that Crush and him really see the game in the same way. They talk about defense similarly. If you talk to them, you can kind of hear it in their language, and it's created this almost amoebic defense that allows them to switch really easily and really dominate half-court situations. They slow down a Warriors team in a way that no team really has in, man, like a year and a half. Like, it's been a really long time since we've seen that group get shut down offensively like that. Even in their loss to the T-Wolves this year, they still almost put up 70 points. They just weren't able to hit a ton of threes, but they were still scoring at a decent level. But this was crazy. I've never seen a Warriors team get held under 50 points before in an entire game. Obviously, once overtime hit, things kind of, the lid kind of came off. But all in all, I was very impressed by the Raptors' defense. Offensively, They got some things to work out. I think what I've learned about them is that they really are an East, like they bleed Eastern Conference. Streaky offense, amoebic defense, sternness on the corners. Like they really have that Eastern Conference feel to them. And I think you saw it offensively in this series that at the absolute highest possible level, which is going up against the Warriors gaming squad in a finals, they don't have a ton of creativity offensively outside of Antoine Love passing in some sort of insane way. Like, outside of that, everything they do is pretty basic. And again, I'm splitting hairs, but again, we're trying to do analysis at the absolute highest possible level. It's the 90-10 thing, right? It's easy. The easiest thing is to go from 0% to 90%, but going from 90% to 100% is the hardest stuff. And if you're trying to find those extra percentage points from the Raptors, I think they're going to need to see symptoms have a little bit of evolution playmaking off the dribble. That's a huge ask. I totally understand. But when Antoine Love doesn't have the ball, this team is very basic. They run a lot of very basic offensive stuff. And again, I understand that's going to be most teams with a point guard. But this is a team that, when I talk to them, they have a lot of confidence in themselves. They seem to think that they're a favorite to win the title this year, especially out of the East. And, I think I agree with them. But if that's going to be the case, they're going to have to find another level offensively. And, there's no better film for them to get than on-stage film against the Warriors, the best defense in the world, and figure it out. But yeah, I thought Antoine Love, I don't want to say he hit a ceiling, but he bumped it on his way up, and I think he has a little bit of a bruise on his head. It's hard to kind of do this straight, insane up NVIDIA stock leg rise like he's had over the past couple years without eventually kind of finding I'm going to do a little stock term here, until you find your resistance level, and you have to come down, find your support, and then you go back up, for those that don't understand. Basically, he's gotten really, really good for a long time. He's kind of hit a bit of a level. He kind of fell a little bit, but knowing him and his skill level, he's going to go up to another level now, and I think the league should be scared. He's seen this Warriors defense once. I'm interested to see what he'd be like when he sees it a second time, or if he sees it a second time. I think that you've seen this week that he's been able to take down some very complex defenses and some very different defenses. Knicks Gaming's not so complex, but they still got a lot of talent out there. You can't mess around. Wizards District Gaming runs a pretty different defense to Warriors Gaming Squad. You know, the Wiz have the point guard playing up top, and they got Benzo swiping at you all the time and awkward screaming at you. So it's a different context. But this Warriors defense, I mean, the press that they were trying to break, they kind of broke out of it. They never really were able to escape from it. The half-court defense the Warriors have is just so insane. And, you know, I think Antoine Love, it just took him a little bit too long to figure it out. And once he did figure it out, which he did figure it out, by the way, he started to get some open looks. He just couldn't sink his shots. And sometimes that happens as a guard. It's surprising to see it happen to him because he's just so stupidly efficient. But it's tough. It's tough to beat a team like that Warriors team. When your shot's not falling, you know, it takes away the playmaking because now they can sit on your shot and wait for you to miss again. You get on the break and you just kind of getting down to your confidence. But for me, I think he's the best point guard in the league. I think him and CB13 are probably 1 and 2 right now. I would say that CB has a slight edge on him for MVP just because he's really got the best player and the best team thing, and he's been cooking so far this year. So I think those are probably my top 2 MVP candidates. But yeah, Antoine Love is a fascinating point guard to watch just because, like, I don't know, he like learns on the fly, and I think like a cyborg, he's going to learn this Warriors defense and become better from it. I thought this was an amazing week for Symptoms, probably the best week that I've seen of him from his career. Really took a lot of ownership offensively. They were straight up bad when he was bad, and for him to be at that level as a shooting guard is really impressive. You know, him and Antoine Love have a great partnership. He's also just a funny dude, and you know he's got that confidence that you need as a shooting guard to, you know, if you're 2 of 10 from 3-point range, like you're going to take that 3, and maybe that 3 is what sends you to overtime against the Dubs. So very impressed by him, very impressive shot. Also impressed by Ham. We've been beating him up pretty badly on this podcast this week, but you know he played a good game. You know, he did a really good job against CB in that game too to force him into some uncomfortable situations. Got some turnovers against him. Definitely swung the momentum a couple times towards Toronto. Thought he hit some big time threes out of the corner too that we just haven't seen him take this year. And I don't know if that's Coach Nick in his ear, or his teammates just supporting him, or maybe that's him just finally being sick of all of our shit. But to see him hit those 50-50 shots in the corner, really, really good by him. I think he was actually perfect from 3-point range in this series. So yeah, shout out to Symptoms Law. Shout out to Ham. Impressed by him. Crush had a great week too. A great week. I would say a quieter series for him. We didn't really see him with the ball in his hands much offensively. He was just kind of sitting in that corner. And defensively, he was good. Didn't have a ton of really huge, impactful defensive plays, but he really is the centerpiece of that team. They all kind of revolve around him like the sun around a bunch of planets. He's always everywhere, in the lanes, you know, playing high, playing low, trying to impact shots. You know, he really is figuring out this power forward position again on the fly, and he's only going to get better at it, especially with Ham and Seam starting to figure it out too. And then we get to Seam, who, they needed a little bit more out of Seam. I think, Nate really dominated the day, especially on the boards. Seam did a lot of great stuff, though. I thought he did a good job in that game too of, keeping them on top of the Warriors, or at least close to the Warriors throughout the entire game. A lot of big offensive rebounds for him. And I think defensively, he was kind of put in a tough situation because you just can't drop on the Warriors. Like, under no circumstances can you consistently drop on the Warriors. So as an inside center, like, he's not really going to be at the rim all that much, or at least, compared to, going up against a different team. Because, if he's playing on left side, he's dropping off Kenny at work. Like, I'm probably, that's probably not the game plan. Probably on the same side for C. So, I'd be interested to talk to Nick and find out what their defensive game plan was with the front court. But whatever they did, it really worked. And I think you combine that with the Warriors not really having a ton of confidence in their jump shots that game too, and all of a sudden the Raptors made that game too a real stinker. And stinker, dude, I'm so tired. Turn it into a real steamer is what I meant to say. It was a really fun one, a real barn burner. We got to overtime, and oh man, you can't give up a 3 off the tip. Honestly, I turned to JT when I saw that shot go in, and I kind of gave him a look, and I was like, I think the game was over once they hit that shot right off the tip, because the Raptors had done such a great job of getting all the momentum back on their side, and they had it, like they felt so good about it. They hit the big time 3, Knicks pumped, the whole team's pumped, and then they come out off the tip, immediate pops badge from Mama, immediate 3, immediate turnover, immediate 3, down by 6. Like, once that happens, the game is over. It's a 3-minute overtime. The Dubs are now hyped up, locked down on defense, and it's just unfortunate because the Raptors did such a great job fighting back, and I think they showed a lot of heart staying in this series. They, I said on the podcast last night that I'd be really surprised if the Raptors were able to keep either of these games to single digits, and they did. They kept both of them at single digits, and that is something to be proud of, considering that nobody's really done that against the Warriors this year, outside of like a couple of random group stage games. So. I'm impressed by the Raptors. I think they're heading into the turn as a really scary opponent for any Eastern Conference team. I think they have a lot of things to improve, but when you got one of the best coaches in the world like Nick, you're always going to be prepared. You're always going to be ready to go, and that team is ready for the turn. And I'm interested to see how they do as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. Turning our attention to the turn, early vibes. My early vibes is that I think the Warriors are going to win the turn. Not for any sort of like it's not even worth playing, but I think this is the beginning of kind of a manifest destiny for this roster. Led by CB13 and I'm that man, two of the best point guards in team history. You got Kenny Got Work, another original 102 guy. You got Cease right next to him, whose own story is very reflective of the Warriors themselves with his incredible rise to the top. And then of course Nay, who trying to get 2 titles in 2 years, doesn't really know a lot about losing with this team, and he's come so far since getting screamed at by one Wild Walnut in 3v3 when we were on stage last year. So I think this Warriors team is on a bit of a historic run here, and we just got to sit back, relax, and watch some great basketball. I think the 5-out is going to be kind of dead for the turn, but hey, we will find out next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I likely will not be on that show. I will be on Thursday, however. So, all right, that's going to do it for me. Relatively short podcast. Great tip-off finals. Great week. In-person fives ball for the NBA 2K League is one of the best esports in the world. I will die on that hill. When we have a crowd and we have a chat that's moving and we have amazing games, I'm telling you, man, I will stack that experience up against any other esport in the world. We had a great crowd today. I thought the chat was super fun. They were giving me and JT shit all night. We were giving them some shit all night. It was a great time. And I can't wait to get Dirk back for the turn. I know he's going to absolutely love it. So that's going to do it for me. I will see you guys on Wednesday, and I will see you guys online for the articles and the tweets, because I know that we're all just going to be on Twitter tonight. Go Celtics. They just started their game against the Pacers, so I'm going to go watch that. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Bye.